Hi. I'm feeling grumpy. Hard for me to admit when I feel grumpy. It came from looking on social media. Had some positive observations, people that I haven't been shown in a while, like the way algorithms work, and then I saw like one of my students had released something. He's off at Berkeley now, which is amazing. Yeah, saw other things, went down memory lane a little bit and saw some old moments, and some of that was hard. Reflecting just a little bit on just life in general, where I'm at, where a lot of people are at, of the people that I love. Choices that we make, choices that I made, choices that I didn't make. Seeing a lot of families, thoughts of family, never had kids. Kind of too old to have kids now. I'm 42. I mean, you can have kids, but that's not the path we're going down. Anyway, which is fine. But a little sad. I think it's always a little sad to be a little outside of whatever is natural, maybe you would want to say, to most people. Like, I don't think it's a better than, less than. I don't think it's a... I have a lot of views on this. Like, I don't... The same way I wouldn't want anyone who has a family and doesn't have as much free time as me to be creative. I wouldn't want them to feel like they're missing out on something their whole lives. Even though I enjoy my creativity with all my heart, and I enjoy getting to create as often as I do, and getting to explore the world, and the world of feelings, and the world of philosophy, the world of psychology, poetry. I said poetry, funny. My mind was already elsewhere. But the same way I wouldn't, wish for them to feel bad. I myself don't wish for myself to feel bad at missing out on, and I don't mean to put that in quotes. It is missing out on. I've seen my brother's family, and I've seen my sister's family. They created them from their own relationship, and me and Brian have a very strong relationship, and so that is a real path that is very natural and biological for most people to go down, and for most people to want to go down. And there's a puppy in the window. You have to see this. I hope you can see it. I don't know if you can. He's behind the little sign that says Baker's. Fine. Yep, you can see it. I pulled it towards me. I don't know if he'll move. Anyway, hey dog. Yeah, he's not doing anything. He doesn't know he's on the film. I feel bad. For a dog. I doubt he cares. Anyway. Get you more light so you can see the pretty view. I don't know why it's so bright now this time. Maybe I got the angle wrong. Oh well. Well, this is Columbus, Indiana. I think because there's a Columbus, Ohio, and this is a small town compared to that big city, I just assumed this would be like not any big deal, but Columbus, like, who cares how many Columbuses there are? This is actually a really cute town. Very quaint. Designed by, like, I think 10 different architects. By Cummings. That's a business that is located here. And, yeah, they just did a really good job creating, there's a multicultural feel. There's a very just vibrant downtown feel. It's nice. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Got distracted by the cute dog. It's okay to be sad for things that you don't have that other people have. I don't feel this all the time, but I do feel this right this second. I don't know if it was from seeing my mom online, or just being with family, with all of Brian's family. I mean, I love Brian's mom, and then seeing, this family exists because she had children, you know. It's a little hard to sort of, and I remember when someone I knew, I'll just say the thing and then I'll say that. It's a little hard to realize you won't have that, you know, that you'll just be an aunt and then a great aunt. And we could adopt. We did talk about that. It might be nice to do someday, but it's a lot of work. So. I don't mind the work of it so much as I just don't know if it would work out, you know. And I've had a lot of injuries, and I've probably had something similar to either fibromyalgia or some other things in terms of energy levels, and so it's a little hard to see a reality wherein I would be sort of like a strong core in terms of physical reality. I'm very strong in other ways, but, you know, maybe not in doing like 6 hours of chores a day, like physical chores. I did used to work a job where I had to play piano like 10 hours a day, and that was very physical. And I've had lots of chapters in my life where I was working out all the time, so I know I can be physical, but it's a little strange thing to have autoimmune type issues and not really talk about them, not really get them treated. I think it's, maybe I've seen too many of my friends go through like years upon years of being tested on to find something like Hashimoto's or something and then never really get any real solutions or results from the whole process of figuring out what it is. And I did do that when I was younger. About 10 years ago, my mother was diagnosed with like really, really early breast cancer, stage 0. Which maybe would have, like, I don't know. Who knows how things go. But anyway, it was taken care of quickly, but that did give me this feeling of panic, like there would be something wrong with me if I didn't catch everything at its early stage. And I remember being very vigilant and going and getting tests done on anything that felt off. But it's like I was dealing with some pretty intense traumas at the time. And so like working through them in therapy and other things. And so it was like, and I was getting some new traumas from some bad life choices I was making, people I was letting be in my daily reality that were not kind people at all. Like, you've heard me ramble about that, abusive stuff. But anyway, so I had a very blocked, I think in some systems, they would call that the 5th chakra. I've had different beliefs about like colors that people will use to represent things. I think of this area as more like yellow, but other systems would call this area blue. But either way, whatever you call it, it's your throat, and mine was like, and I've sensed there's different things connected to, like whether people talk about like acid reflux and like times where my gut instinct was way off and I wasn't caring for my gut. Gut health is considered wisdom in some cultures, and this squeezing feeling, like I'd had my thyroid checked. I started just checking everything and taking it all very seriously. And I will tell you, in my experience, after all of that belief in modern medicine, which really wasn't a belief in modern medicine, because I still believe in modern medicine, and I love that we can be cured and recover from things that you couldn't in different points in history. But what I had then was more of like a fear of imperfection, a fear of imperfectly using modern medicine. I became terrified to exist in the world imperfectly. And I saw caring for my health. The dog is up and smiling. Oh, he looked at the people who walked by with the food box. Anyway, I just became paranoid of like not perfectly assessing every illness, every injury, every soreness. If I got like a headache, it'd be like, oh no, brain tumor or something. And like I have a friend who died of a brain tumor when we were in 5th grade. It's kind of how I started writing serious sounding songs. Before that, I always wrote like, like Casio pop. Actually, I like that now. I need a tone. I always forget this thing has beats on it. Oh, the car wanted to join in. I am going to the store and I'm gonna get a little more of my heart on my sleeve. Gonna buy some cute antiques and be brave. Gonna float around this town like a mouse who is in search of a house or a home to place their heart when there's nothing else they've known they should come home to. I have been so confused, I don't know if I will learn to use time differently. You are all light to me, and I don't know if I'm going to see you in a past life in my dreams. This would sound better if I'd use both hands, but like I can hold the notes out a little better. I can't even put my coffee down. Okay, there we go. Whoops, that wasn't very clean. It doesn't sound nearly as good without the beat. So choppy. I would need a pedal to cover up the choppiness. Well, that's an example of how you can accidentally start writing a song when you weren't even ready to. But I hope you see what my point was. Well, okay, forget my point. Like, clearly I was made to float around and write songs. And if I was meant to have kids, I would have had kids. Boop. And I haven't had kids, and I'm 42, and I act like a kid. And I act better than a kid, in my opinion, because kids lose this sense of freedom. Unless you want to say I act like a 5-year-old. That's crazy. But I don't think I do, because I like talking about philosophical things. I was going to say philosophy, but you have to stress the accent differently. You know, I don't know. I don't know why this is how I was made. I could sit around and analyze it all day and criticize myself and tear myself apart until I feel like I'm nothing at all. But clearly you can see me from the outside. Clearly, if I had kids, how often would I sit in a car and write a song? Maybe once a month? Or maybe I would wait 20 years while I raised them and then I'd do it again. Like a Mr. Rogers or somebody like that, or a Bob Ross or something, who maybe you have a chapter where you have kids and then you do this kind of stuff. But like, this is how I was made. This is what I've lived through. I went through all this trauma. I changed locations. I changed partners. I finally found one who's not abusive, and he's the most amazing man, and I'm very lucky. He probably knew when he met me that I partly wanted kids. And he doesn't want kids. He was pretty clear on that. But when we brought our lives together, that was a good middle ground, was the idea that we could always adopt someday. And I think it's important to find middle ground. If you love somebody, it's important to have those tough conversations and see if there's a middle ground there. And when I realized that I had 7 biological nieces and nephews, I realized that the idea of adopting was enough for me for someday. And it sort of freed up my late 30s. That's the biggest gift of it. Is like I was in this spot of complete panic in my mid to late 30s because of all these books and all these things you read that make it sound like clock's ticking, like get on this. But I was going through a painful divorce in my early 30s and almost to my mid 30s, and it's like, what do? Do you act like a panicked crazy person and just search around, hurry up, find someone who will make kids with you, even if it's not the right person or it's not calling in your heart? Or do you follow your heart? And if you fall in love with a man who doesn't want to have kids, like, but he's in the music scene with you, and you also had felt this really strong pull to like really go for your music dreams. Like 5 years ago, I didn't release music other than like one album once every 5 years, and I didn't promote it, and I didn't talk about my music, and I didn't share clips of my music online, and I didn't ask you to listen to it, but I was always sad if you didn't. I didn't ask for anything from people with my music life before. And I would release one YouTube video every couple of years, or I'd have like one little burst where I released them for like a month, and then one person would tell me like, those don't really look like your best work, you know, and then I would shut down for 10 years. It's like, and I've done that my whole life, this thing of like you get one bit of criticism and it puts too much pressure on people. It's not that person's fault that they said, do you think you want to be putting your best foot forward? Because they also saw me at an earlier chapter where I had worked for a week on a music video, and that music video got lots of love and attention. DIY, homemade music video. It was on my old channel. If you search up Jessica Fogle, Fogle. There's videos that I made with like construction paper, and they're kind of stop motiony. And there's one for a song called Someone to Save. That one's probably my favorite. There's one for a song called The Psychology of Holes. It was my first time using a webcam, and I'm just like being weird. And I made weird little cutout paper moving things, and it was cute, and it was funny, and it was weird, and it was inspired probably by Sesame Street mixed with who knows what. And I mean, those were really fun to make, but I put a lot of time in those. And then I got more interested. I made like 3 of them, and then they just took a lot of time, and they didn't feel like there was a payoff, because I was being an artsy weirdo, and the payoff was a couple friends saying, good job, this is cool, or amazing, or whatever. I didn't know that getting 1,000 views back in that day and age was like building a fan base. It was early YouTube, but then I switched over to doing these challenges, 50 songs in 90 days, and FAUM, February Album Writing Month, and I started using YouTube just as a place to put the songs, or to create the songs, and the sound quality wasn't as good. You really couldn't barely hear them, and it was just, they were sloppy, but they were cute. But yeah, got some feedback from someone I loved that like, maybe best foot forward, like, but like, why is it that person's fault for drawing that to my attention? I have always been surrounded by people who have this weird combination of they want the best for me mixed with they're very kind of critical people, but they're not mean critical, they're just opinionated critical. They just have really strong opinions about what is best. And I've had to learn to be like, okay, it's best to you, first of all. And then second of all, yeah, because they're not in my skin. They don't know where the river is flowing. I'm the river. I can kind of feel what's happening. And I could, back then, 10 years ago, I was an early YouTuber. I could feel where I was flowing to. And I could feel that it was good. I could feel that it was useful for me unfolding. And people seeing me from the outside were results oriented. Like, but this doesn't look as good as this. But this doesn't look as professional as this. And it's like, if you're an artist, mostly artists and creative people watch my channel. So if you're an artist, if you're a creative weirdo, you can't get to the point that other people are wanting you to get to, including this point that I'm at right now. 2021 me, you can't get to it if you've never done this before. You can't suddenly be this. You can try. If this is your goal, is to become somebody who is free and sharing and weird and meandering and all over the place. If you are creatively inspired by what I do and how I share, which people have told me that they are, you can't get from A to Z in one moment. The whole point of it, the reason it's inspiring, I think, to fellow creative people, or people who feel this feeling inside of natural flow. The reason it's inspiring is because, sorry, I just remembered something someone said, and I was like, oh dear Lord, honey, no, you're wrong on that one. Partly right, partly wrong. Most things people say to us that hurt a little like a dagger, the reason it hurts is usually because it's partly right and partly wrong. And we can't immediately respond to those things that have both in them. It's like yin and yang. It's electrons, it's molecules, it's protons and neutrons and who knows what. I derailed my entire video for that idea. It's an idea that people who talk a lot like to hear the sound of their own voice. I talk a lot. Other creative people I know are afraid to talk a lot, to share a lot of songs, a lot of themselves, for fear of almost that exact judgment, that people will just think they're full of themselves, or that people will just think they're just enjoying themselves. And it's like, the reason you're afraid of that is because it's partly true. I do enjoy. And this moment wasn't about me. I was thinking about the youth that I was trying to encourage to do the thing that is, it does require, if you're a river, you're aware of yourself. You're in your own self. You're not a river applauding other rivers. You might be inspired by other rivers, but you're in the river that is you. And the person who said that about somebody else wasn't even about me. They are coming from the river that is them, and the irony being that they, while talking a lot, said this comment about people enjoying the sound of their own voices. And it's like, and it was said with no irony from a person who had been talking a lot. And it's like, and then I went outside and I felt some of that, and it was heavy, and I wrote a song with the birds in the backyard. Well, it would have been 1 or 2 videos before this one. And it became a song about, if I'm a bird and I'm singing, I'm not saying, quiet all you other birds, I'm singing. You should all just be listener birds while I'm the singing bird. That's not what birds do. They join each other in chorus. They find harmony. And they don't analyze and create the harmony in some rigid way. Like, if you feel inspired by somebody's natural flow, it's because you want to have natural flow. It's because you even know that natural flow is cool. Like, natural flow feels good. It feels natural. So, maybe it's natural that I didn't have kids. Maybe it's natural that we learn how to flow. I mean, maybe I wouldn't inspire the people that have told me they've been inspired by me if I had taken a different path. And this is my natural path, But it's still hard. You can still be sad. You can still look around and say, oh. It's like cake and eat it too. You can't have all this free time to create and inspire and be part of a movement towards natural, flowing, resonant creativity. And also do the amount of work that I've seen my brother and my sister do to have a family. It's just, there's not time for both. And life is choices. And the safest place I've ever found, if I stick with the river analogy, the safest place I've ever found is the thing that unfolds naturally, not with fear, but with love. So these words are pouring out for you because of love, because I want you to find your natural flow if you're a creative person. And if you're not a creative person, if you love being creative just in your home or with your kids or with your family or with yourself, in a doodling sketchbook for yourself, you are still a creative person. I may not be talking about you when I'm talking about this concept. You may see yourself, but then we're just getting into identities and labels. All people are creative. But what I'm talking about when I talk about creative people, I guess I'm talking about people who make that their main point of light, their main compass, their main, if a river's flowing to a particular ocean, that's the main ocean you're flowing to, is the ocean of creativity, source creative source as my guide, and if you're mainly flowing to family, and you're creating an empire of you and your partner, like, that's amazing. That is creativity, duh. But also, that's its own beautiful thing, and then that's what you're floating to, it's not about fame, it's about creative people, I think, feel a pull forward where something's like unfolding on its own, similar to like doing a dance. Like the move creates the next move. There's no script needed. It's wired in you. And painting and music making and all of that has been around since forever. So creative people, I think, are people who are trying to reclaim creativity. Like, there's a natural creativity in the world. Like, the world worships people like Van Gogh, after they're dead, whatever, but worships these super creative geniuses and analyzes at the college level their insane levels of creativity. But to be at that college, you actually have to box yourself in and write all the right words for the paper and get an A and get the approval of someone. So when I was in college, I remember that feeling very safe. It felt very safe to have, here's the assignment, now you do the assignment, now we'll tell you if you're appropriate. That's what being in school felt like. And I was good at school. I was great at school because I could follow those orders. But strangely, my true self, since I was very, very young, was this creative flow person. I think I knew how to put creative flow into the papers and then be sparkly inside the papers, and then the teachers loved me. But post-college, post-schooling, there's no one to please. There's nothing, you have to find your own compass. What is your compass? Is creativity your compass? Is weirdness your compass? Is yourself your compass? Is your partner your compass? Like being the best at giving love? Are your kids your compass? Is helping others your compass? Is your job your compass? Like, what's your compass? And like that's been big for me, to find that creativity, and specifically authentic creativity, whatever it is that pours out, including my old YouTube channel, that was something that was easy for other people to judge the same way this is easy for someone to judge. It's just that I'm not as derailable now, because now, and I am still derailable. You'll see gaps in time where I stop YouTubing, even though I love doing this. But I'm not as derailable now. I won't stop doing this for 10 years just from negative feedback, but I will stop doing this for brief moments if I feel put down by those around me who love me and maybe don't see the point in this. And I don't mean they should be watching it, because again, it's like, this is clearly not for the people who already spend time with me. This is for who knows who. People who want to unblock creatively, maybe. People who don't know me. I don't always know who I'm trying to inspire. I think I just got inspired by Mr. Rogers type people when I was young, and then that became something I wanted to do, to inspire others. I used to think it would be in a perfectly polished song or a perfectly crafted album, like I would be the next Joanna Newsom or Regina Spektor, and I would wow people with my piano skills and lyric writing abilities and album art and marketing and touring and performing, and like I was kind of on a path to be that, and I'm not ruling it out. I just think if I look realistically at my life, I get really anxious for shows and really overwhelmed at packing and prepping and serious-minded things like pulling off high-level concerts and such. So it's like, I don't know if I have the right DNA. I might be a little bit too meandering and unserious now to pull off any of that kind of high-level, high-intensity versions of myself anymore, which is fine because no one's demanding it, so it's okay. And to be fair, I think about 10 years ago I also got really... it's not just him. It's mainly him. Really inspired by Daniel Johnston. So if you've never heard of him, you can look him up. There is a kind of like insanely prolific singer-songwriter in the world. I mean, I guess it's like more accurately freak folk than even Joanna Newsom. Or like the prolificness of Sufjan Stevens, but that is more polished. And so then that, you know, I love being inspired by the masters. I listen to these masters all the time. Joanna and Sufjan and all of them. But I think I resonate more naturally with like a Daniel Johnston in terms of just freedom. You just press record, you record whatever it is. It's not about the quality, it's about the authenticity, I guess. So, well, that was a heavy one. I'm gonna write one more song because that other song was really weird. Oops. Maybe I'll let Chocolate be in the video. His name's Chocolate because I bought him instead of buying chocolate after I had dental surgery one day. I figured it'd be too hypocritical or ironic if I, right after getting a tooth fixed, went and bought myself some chocolate. All right. Okay. I know the way into your heart in this place. It's golden time. I see the way you don't rhyme with yourself most time. Most the time, and I make a railroad train line to outer space, and I am going to be just fine, just fine. And so are you. And so are you. And so are you. Car came in the key of F. Good job, Prius. Well, there's a couple songs, but really just that one song. The other one was, well, I actually liked the other one, but it was like, oh, actually, that's the demo. Okay, hold on. Boots and cats, boots and cats. Okay, well, anyway, have a great day. Bye.